So, I had a chat with a fellow artist, and it gave me some amazing ideas for just showcasing how I set up video content, which is how I do all of this that you see, what I shoot on, what I use, right? So I'm just gonna use this as a simple introduction, and then you're just going to see a lot of visual, just me setting up for whatever type of content I take, or I try to take. For YouTube, for this video style of content that you see, it is quite let me see if I can. It is quite chilled. I do not have a camera per se, right? As you can see, it's like a mirror situation. That is how we are filming. We are filming on my phone, and I've got a tripod that is just a cheap, easy tripod. Here's the bad boy, and it folds out. You pull on it, and this I got fairly recently actually, and just fold it back in. Very compact, because I did not want something that is going to take up space. So I've got these two, you can say tripods, not really, it's just phone holders, whatever, cheap phone holders. It's not like full-on expensive tripods, and I don't think you need it. You need your phone, you need two cheap tripods, and that's about it. And you can film almost anything, I almost believe it. The one tripod that I have that isn't this one is what I predominantly use on my desk. It is a better quality one, and the base is heavier, and it also detaches. So I could use it as like a vlog stick style carrying the phone and just talking and stuff. Like now I'm taking it off, right? And then I can just put it back, and that makes life a bit easier. But then I've also got, I like to do like cinematic style content, almost inspired like film style content. It's not perfect obviously, but for social media and just for the occasional, like trying to push to make process artwork just look a little bit more cinematic, and how it feels to actually be, try and simulate how it actually feels to be working on that process. So pretty much I've got, I'd say, three main things that I do. So I've got anything that's going on in my desk, right? I will use, and this will now be overlaid, so I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. So anything that's on my desk, I will use the small tripod for, and then I will just find a way to angle it properly. So I want to encourage you to always think of different angles. Don't do something the same way all the time. You want to do close-ups, you want to do far away shots, you want to do shots of yourself, you know, for authenticity, for showing the people that you are the artist, you are working, you're doing these things. It sounds cheesy, but I would say that people look for things like that, especially in a world with the mighty AI. That's a joke. It's not a glaze, I promise. But the point is angles, right? So I always do a far away shot, and for that I will set up the number 2 over here, this tripod, and I will set that up, and I will just move that around my space. I've got a limited space, so it's just trying to work with what you got. I prefer to shoot later at nighttime. I don't mind natural light, but I just like how cinematic it can be. I've got some LEDs, and I've got some I do have now white light. I had a bit of a warmer bulb, so I might get that just for the mood, just for lighting sake. I'm not a full nerd when it comes to that, but I do like really good lighting, and I do like things to look nice. That's just the honest truth. So different angles, push yourself to just move your tripods and stuff around the space. Find what works for talking content, for drawing content, for live streams, for whatever. What works best for the space. You're not going to knock it, you're not going to bump it, it's not in the way of you drawing, you can still focus. And then if I'm just shooting normal content where I'm not talking or doing anything, I will use the other tripod to get the long shots or the shots of myself while I'm drawing. And then I might even just freely use the phone in my hand sometimes for close-up or process shots. And if you're not used to it and you've got a shaky hand, I'd say use both hands, right? And try not to breathe too heavy, so that's a tip. And then just focus on trying to get it as still as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, because that can even add to the video. And just have fun. I think that's the main thing. Truly, I think you need to explore what your options are in terms of what you are capable of doing in your space, and just have fun with it. Decide what style that you, not style, but like decide what way you want to shoot, why, what's the point, does it help what you're trying to talk about or sell or do, whatever, and then just have fun. But anyway, enough of that. The process is simple. I shoot on an iPhone 15 Pro. That's what I do all the content on. I pay for space, so space is always seemingly a bit of an issue, but eventually I will move to a PC setup, so the space will help for that. I shoot on cinematic for video content exactly like this, like what you are seeing. I shoot on cinematic content, and normally when I'm shooting with a tripod and the camera is reversed in the other direction and it's shooting, it's just normal video. iPhone is good like that, that's why I got it, that is the point, so I can pursue this better, so you can see things clearer, so you can see my work, the art clearer, and that's important to me, because as a traditional artist, I want you to be able to see the paper, the pencil strokes. As weird as that sounds, it just makes better content. I think it makes things look better, more aesthetic. So cinematic setting for talking videos, talking shots, with the small tripod that's on my desk. And then for, let's say, shorts, any social media stuff, for close-ups I will use the short desk tripod. And for longer, let's say, content of myself drawing, or more full body, 3/4, cinematic, anything like that, I will use the normal bigger tripod, and I'll set that up in a few locations that I will show you, and then I just take that into CapCut and I just edit it. I do pay for CapCut. This is not a promo, it's just easy. I've known CapCut for a long time. I use it, it doesn't give me a hassle, and paying for premium gives me everything that I need. I don't even need to necessarily make thumbnails or anything unless it's for the drawing videos, and it just saves me time to focus on trying to provide value or trying to get the job done in the video. So then I just take that into CapCut and I edit it fairly loosely. I try to leave as much in as possible. I literally don't cut out almost anything, so I keep everything as real and raw as possible, and then I will just overlay music underneath, and that's it. That's the process. Anyone can do this. But it's not for everyone, if that makes sense, and that's just my opinion. Not everyone wants to do it, I know, but for people starting out, don't buy the 30k camera, don't buy the 40k PC, don't do all of these things. Focus on putting yourself out there social media wise. Just use the decent camera that you have. It might even work to your benefit. If it's not even the most expensive one, it might look a bit edgy, I don't know. Just, you can figure out how to work with what you've got. That's the moral of the story here. So I hope that helped. Cheers.